August 2019, ELA Regents, Reading Comprehension Passage C, How We Make Sense of Time, looking down at the bottom. I know that this was by Kenzie Cooper-Ryder and Rafael Nunez, excerpted from How We Make Sense of Time, Scientific American Mind, November and December 2016. Back up to the top. How We Make Sense of Time. What is the difference between yesterday and tomorrow? The Yupno man we were interviewing, Danda, paused to consider his answer. A group of us sat on a hillside in the Yupno Valley, a remote nook high in the mountains of Papua New Guinea. Only days earlier, we had arrived on a single-engine plane. After a steep hike from the grass airstrip, we found ourselves in the village of Gawa, one of about 20 Yupno villages dotting the rugged terrain. We came all the way here because we were interested in time, and how Yupno people understand concepts such as past, present, and future. Are these ideas universal, or are they products of our language, our culture, and our environment? As we interviewed Danda and others in the village, we listened to what they said about time, but we paid even closer attention to what they did with their hands as they spoke. Gestures can be revealing. Ask English speakers about the difference between yesterday and tomorrow, and they might thrust a hand over the shoulder when referring to the past, and then forward when referring to the future. Such unreflective moments reveal a fundamental way of thinking in which the past is at our backs, something we leave behind, and the future is in front of us, something to look forward to. Would a Yupno speaker do the same? Danda was making just the kinds of gestures we were hoping for. As he explained the Yupno word for yesterday, his hand swept backward. As he mentioned tomorrow, it leaped forward. We all sat looking up a steep slope toward a jagged ridge, but as the light faded, we changed the camera angle, spinning around so that we and Danda faced in the opposite direction, downhill. With our backs now to the ridge, we looked over at the Yupno River meandering toward the Bismarck Sea. Let's go over that one more time, we suggested. Danda obliged, again using his hands to enliven his explanation. But as we expected, his gestures had changed. As he referred to yesterday, he now gestured not backward, but forward. And as he explained tomorrow, he gestured back over his shoulder up toward the ridge. Inconsistent as these movements might seem, Danda was not confused. His gestures expressed the Yupno way of understanding time, one in which the future is not something in front of you, it is uphill. By having interviewees change sitting positions, we were able to show that it does not matter whether the slope is in front of you, behind you, to your left, or your right. The Yupno conception of time is not anchored to the body, as the Western one is, but to the world and its contours. By investigating cases such as these, we and other researchers are starting to piece together an answer to a question that has puzzled thinkers for centuries. How are human beings able to make sense of time? Humans, like creatures ranging from amoebas and bees to mockingbirds and elephants, come with built-in equipment for perceiving some aspects of time, such as the rhythms of night and day, the waxing and waning of the moon, and the turning of the seasons. What separates humans from other animals is that we do not stop at merely sensing time's passage. We tackle time head-on, or at least we try. We dice it into units, even ones that go beyond what is perceivable, such as milliseconds, or that transcend our lifespan, such as millennia. We depict time graphically, talk about it ceaselessly, and even make gestural models of it in the air as we talk. In short, humans everywhere create and rely on time concepts, ideas about the nature of time that allow us to make plans, follow recipes, share memories, and discuss possible futures. But what are our time concepts made of? What is going on in the mind of a speaker or Yupno or English for that matter when answering our question about the difference between yesterday and tomorrow? Recent research in cognitive science is uncovering a surprising answer. Across cultures, human time concepts depend in large part on metaphor, in particular on what cognitive scientists call conceptual metaphor, in which we think about something, in this case time, in terms of something else, in this case space. Thus, we build our understanding of duration, of time's passage, and of sequence of events out of familiar spatial ideas, such as size, movement, and location. The latest findings reveal that this basic time is like space metaphor appears to be universal around the world. Yet, it also takes strikingly different forms from one culture to the next. We sometimes imagine ourselves inside the sequence of events, with past, present, and future conceptualized as locations where we once were, currently are, and will be. This internal perspective on time motivates English expressions such as the week ahead of us. When we take the external perspective, however, we view the succession of events from the outside, much like watching a lineup of people all moving in one direction. This external perspective motivates our phrases such as, a reception follows the ceremony. These basic ideas about time are expressed spatially, in a dazzling variety of unrelated languages across cultures that differ in every way imaginable. The idea that temporal sequences are like queues of people is found, for example, in Tamil, Maori, Greenlandic, and Sesotho, where the idea that spring follows winter can be expressed as spring is in the footprints left by winter. But now we come to a wrinkle. Even as people of all cultures lean on spatial concepts for understanding time, exactly which spatial metaphors they use can vary. Take the internal perspective, future and front metaphor mentioned earlier, found in English and many other languages. This metaphor was long thought to be universal, but in 2006, members of our team investigated a striking counterexample in South America. In Amira, a language spoken high in the Andes, many phrases suggest the opposite metaphor is at work. For example, the expression, a long time ago, could be loosely rendered in Amira as a lot of time in front. Analysis of video-recorded interviews with 30 speakers showed conclusively that Amira speakers gesture according to this future behind, past in front metaphor. The pattern is especially strong among older speakers who do not speak Spanish, which has the future in front metaphor common in English and most European languages. The human reliance on spatial metaphors for abstract thinking may have deep evolutionary roots and is not likely to change anytime soon. The particular metaphors we lean on, however, are a product of culture, not of biological evolution, and are much more malleable. Literacy is a recent and rapid achievement in the scope of the human saga, but it already has had profound consequences for how people conceptualize time. New spatial metaphors for our dearest abstract concepts will almost certainly enter the picture as our culture evolves. Email inboxes show the most recent items on top, but text messages go the other way, with the newest at the bottom. And so we must wonder, which way will time flow next?